Hello there, and welcome to day 68 of A Film a Day with me, Jordan Woodling. Today covering the Amma Asante romance drama, A United Kingdom. Amma Asante is a filmmaker who has been on my radar for some years, partially due to her good relationship with Mark Kermode and Simon Mayo's film review programme, and so she's quite the charismatic guest. But I've been aware of her directorial work for some years, back probably when the film Belle was released. And so I wanted to watch United Kingdom for some time now. It's definitely been on one of my numerous lists for a long time now. The drama follows Rosamund Pike and David Oyelowo playing... David Oyelowo plays Seretse Khama, who is the heir to the Botswana land, or modern Botswana, or what would become modern Botswana. He is the heir to the throne, and just as around the time he is going to return from London, having studied law, he meets Ruth Williams, a young office girl, falls in love, and the two then seek to marry. Of course, this is then during that point in British politics and African politics where the racial divide is a major issue, particularly stemming from the fact that South Africa is about to impose apartheid, and Botswanaland is bordering on South Africa, and of course the influence, the sort of political struggle between South Africa, Botswanaland, and Britain. As I say, I've been aware of Amma Asante back since I watched Belle, and I remember watching Belle and thinking that it was... it didn't... Unfortunately for me, it is under that category of Jane Austen-esque dramas. That's to say, sort of period dramas set around a certain time that focuses on Regency, and social politics, and really does not do it for me. And it's specific to Jane Austen. We've discovered over a long stretch of trialing different period dramas of this era, both created from the time and dramas that were created now but set during that period. And specifically, I find Jane Austen just not something that suits me. I just don't find it, even in adaptation, something that I particularly get on with. And what I remember noticing when I watched Belle, which is about the adopted black daughter of a magistrate and her struggle to for the rights of slaves who were killed in a ship's crash, and to be treated not just as stock but as autonomous people who lost their lives. And at the time, I remember watching it thinking, I really want to get into this drama and connect with it, but there's just something about that style, and it really was trying to capture that era and that very eloquent and yet reserved structure to it that I struggled with. I remember at the time, and that might have been a youth thing, that I just wasn't mature enough to be able to process that style of drama. Because I do think, when it comes to Amma Asante, that her directing and her storytelling method is to tell these very mature, very considered stories, and she specifically wants to focus on race and racial politics, although not in a cack-handed way. As in, there are many people who, we're in the era now where we're wanting to discuss social and political issues, and it's very easy, particularly when you do period dramas about racial politics, to make this very cut and dry storytelling where, this is the oppressed and these are the racists and these are the allies, and have it very, very black and white. Excuse the pun. Whereas Amma Asante wants to tell these stories with a certain amount of maturity and go, look, the politics are complicated. It's not just a case of oppressed and oppressor. The dynamics, and of course there is racism. Of course there is a racial subtext, and there are groups of people who just want to be racist for racism's sake. But the oppression comes from institution more than it does from individuals. That systems rely on division, on segregation, on one being above the other. And yes, that benefits some, like Jack Davenport's character Alistair Caning, who is this... If there's a villain, and I hate the idea of saying villain because I think this is more nuanced, but if there is a villain, he represents that villainy. He's the ambassador to Botswanaland, and he is that snivelling, nasty, clearly racist, imperialist British image. But I hesitate to paint him as, this is the villain and he's the obstacle, because the point is the system is supposed to be the thing that's creating a problem for this interracial couple, and that you have, for instance, the David Oyelowo's uncle, who was the regent for many years in readiness for David Oyelowo's character to take over. And he is opposed to the marriage, but he is opposed to it on political grounds, on the reason, on the fact that he has valid arguments to be made about why this is bad for the country, and you might not agree with them. I don't agree with them, but he makes them nonetheless. And so you have to consider what the ramifications of just choosing to love freely means for someone when it comes to being someone who is high status in a royal family. I'm aware that this choice was of watching this film was entirely arbitrary. And the fact that I've chosen to watch it today, considering what's happened in our global politics, particularly with Harry and Meghan, which I couldn't possibly comment on because I have almost no knowledge of. But considering that the headlines of today, it feels apt to watch a film like this that really draw startling parallels between real life and fiction. Well, that is to say, a United Kingdom is based on a historical event, a genuine marriage between the king of Botswanaland and this British woman. And I genuinely think that watching it at this particular time, it really does bring to the forefront the questions of romantic love against responsibility and politics, and the fact that you become these figures of public interest that can't just live your lives, but are having to deal with the whims of politicians and the public. this is a very powerful piece, and as I say, Amma Asante deals with these sorts of issues and this sort of filmmaking with such a delicate craftsmanship that you don't feel like you've got caricatures. You feel like you've got genuine people that you invest in. David Oyelowo, Rosamund Pike, both give really nuanced, complex performances that are genuinely great to watch. This film is interesting and considered, and genuinely, it's not probably one that I would watch on the regular, but it's definitely something I would watch. To think about complicated themes and interesting ideas whilst looking at beautiful landscapes. The setting is beautiful and it's beautifully shot. So yes, I'm very happy that I watched this today. Anyway, if you could like this video, that would be really helpful for me. If you could go back and watch some of my back catalogue, also very helpful, or subscribe to the A Film A Day YouTube channel, and please do share the channel on social media, and you can follow me on Twitter at Jordan_Woodley. I'll see you again tomorrow. Take care.